Okay, welcome everyone. Bosch is a leading global supplier of technology and services. It employs roughly 390,000 associates around the world and generated over 70 billion euros in sales last year. Bosch's operations are focused in 4 areas: mobility solutions, industrial technology, consumer goods, and energy and building technology. As a leading IoT company, Bosch offers solutions for smart homes, smart cities, connected mobility, and connected industry. Using its own IoT cloud and expertise in sensor technology, software, and services, Bosch is able to offer its customers connected, cross-domain solutions from a single source. Bosch's goal is to create solutions for a connected life and to improve quality of life worldwide with products and services that are innovative and spark enthusiasm. In short, Bosch creates technology that is invented for life. Our speakers this afternoon are 2 business development executives from Robert Bosch in North America. Shailesh Topiwala is a corporate business development director for Bosch, a position he has held since January 2014. In this role, he drives cross-divisional business development activities for Bosch Energy and Building Technologies, focused on residential and commercial buildings, including innovations for smart city and smart home applications. Our second speaker is Pierre Maillot, a senior technological advisor for Bosch, a position he has held since January 2016. Maillot provides high-level consultative support on multiple information technology-based systems and supports business development for smart communities in North America. In this role, he is integrated into the master developer team that is designing and advancing technologies for Bay Area smart communities. Prior to his current assignment, Maillot was the business development director at Bosch France, where he led smart city projects in Monaco and Nice. He interfaced with cities, internal divisions, and local partners to help develop connected city solutions. Now, during the course of today's presentation, you can submit questions for both our guests. Simply use the questions box on the right side of your screen. I'll review those questions and pose them to Shailesh and Pierre during the Q&A time set aside after their presentation. Shailesh, let's start with you.
Thank you, Mike, for that very thoughtful introduction on this very active topic of smart cities. Both Pierre and I are very pleased to be here today. We are glad to have this opportunity to speak to the audience about the exciting activities surrounding smart cities across the globe, to give some insights into how Bosch is approaching these topics, and also discuss some of our key lessons learned. I believe the best way probably to introduce the audience to this topic is via a short video, so let's get started.
Our world gets smart. We're about to face the age of modern simplicity. What does smart and simple mean? Smart means people will be in tune with each other, with their city, and they will enjoy higher standards of living. Smart means traffic and transport will be simplified. With community parking, finding a free parking space is possible in no time. Smart means networked concepts will take care of resident security and will ensure people's health and safety. Smart means the use of resources will be optimized. Innovative energy supply concepts for communities enable a sustainable and cost-effective electricity supply. Smart means citizen participation. People and city administration will be connected with the help of community and city apps. Smart means up-to-date infrastructure. Connected building solutions will remotely monitor buildings along with infrastructure. Smart means everything will be interactive, connected. That makes controlling and monitoring of homes possible remotely via smartphones. Everyday life gets even easier. Smart means intelligent solutions. Innovative technologies with a new approach on data security are going to develop around the Internet of Things and will learn from each other. For this new development, we guarantee reliability due to our interdisciplinary experience. Together we create something new, Bosch solutions for livable, sustainable, and resilient cities and communities.
Wow, amazing what is possible in cities today and into the future. It certainly is an exciting time for cities to transform themselves into much more dynamic environments of citizen activity. First, I'd like to give the audience some context a little bit more about Bosch. You may know Bosch from our high-performance power tools, hopefully our quiet dishwashers, or our incredible wiper blades. You know, we have a very rich 130-year history in automotive technology, and Mike, as you mentioned, Bosch today is active in multiple industries organized across our 4 business sectors: energy and building technology, mobility solutions, industrial technology, and consumer goods. Our operating business divisions within these sectors have a leading position, which we recognize as our commitment to our motto, Invented for Life. Even with having a leading market position, though, Bosch is going through a significant set of transformations. We are on a very ambitious path to deliver the connected world experience, and in doing so, we have a goal to make every Bosch electronic product connected by 2020. This is part of our drive to be a leader in delivering innovative IoT or Internet of Things solutions across the spectrum of all of our activities here at Bosch. IoT, or the Internet of Things, has been a buzzword for a couple of years now in the marketplace. At Bosch, we have a very clear strategy of how we will connect these things to deliver new solutions based on multiple different business models. However, just because you can connect something to the Internet, it really doesn't make it smart or bring any value to the end user or to a group of users. What is really needed is that all of these end solutions can seamlessly interoperate with everything else and everybody else's things. We certainly are working diligently within Bosch to create our own solutions, but we are working just as hard to form partnerships with other industry leaders, both small and large companies and other societies and memberships that share in our vision of open core IoT. In order for us to realize our vision of connected solutions, Bosch is focused on what we refer to as the 3 S's: sensors or things, software, and services or applications. Let's start with some sensors. These devices are needed to enable and generate quality data. Quality data is essential in the mission to create any valuable connected solution. Our Bosch IoT software suite is a modular platform capable of bringing together all of this quality data for targeted analysis, from which we can generate actionable outputs. Now, these outputs can then be appropriately leveraged in developing well-thought-out use case-based services or applications. With this approach, we're delivering solutions for challenging problems addressing several dynamic city domains, as we can see here, covering energy or utility grid, building or infrastructure topics, security, surveillance, many mobility topics, and e-governance topics. We will certainly be getting more into these areas a little later on in the webinar. I believe with this brief overview of Bosch and our approach to developing useful IoT solutions, we're ready to jump into some more details about smart city and community fields. With that, I'd like to hand it off to Pierre. So Pierre?
Yes, thank you very much, Shailesh. I'm very excited also to talk about smart city. It's a topic I've been working on for the last 4 years. And before going into the detail of smart city and the solution that we are seeing in this realm, I'd like to introduce first what are the mega trends in the world which actually led to the concept of smart city. And one of the first trends that's obviously worth to mention is urbanization. It's important to understand that today cities represent 2% of the surface of the globe, but actually represent 50% of the population. So this increased urbanization is obviously creating a lot of new challenges for the cities, how to make sure that the citizens will have access to all the services and will be able to enjoy a good quality of life. And probably one of the first impacts of this urbanization is mobility. Mobility is a huge topic for big cities. I learned today that San Francisco is the 4th worst traffic or congestion in the world. I mean, with these 2 Bay Bridge and being at the end of the peninsula, you wait so much time in your car, and mobility has become one of the major issues to address for all cities in the world. Another topic which we observe is demography. With the new technology and the medication possibilities, people are living longer. especially in the Western countries. Obviously, this creates a different needs. These people want to stay home. These people want to have a different access to mobility. And if we pause now a little bit on these two trends, and we take the example of autonomous driving as a new technology, autonomous driving will help in improving the mobility by having the car following themselves and avoiding this back and forth traffic, but also autonomous driving will increase and the access for these senior people to mobility, because then the car will be able to drive by itself. So just an example on how technology can also support the trend that we are observing. If we continue to look at the trends we observe in the world, resources is also one of the major issues. Cities are huge energy consuming. They consume lighting, electricity for lighting. They consume energy for their building. So it requires the solution regarding the grid, regarding power balance. With autonomous vehicle, we will see also a trend in electrification. So this will require a way to actually better use these resources. Obviously, connectivity is one of the major technology trends that today is an enabler to work on smart solutions. We all have a smartphone, or most of us have a smartphone device. We talked about Internet of Things. All these sensors and these things will be connected and generating data, which then will help to develop intelligent systems to make sure that we can control and develop smart solutions. And last but not least, we obviously observe that quality of life has never become so much of a topic, especially for the millennium, and that that being said, finding ways to improve the cities and the quality of life has become very important. So now if you look at the smart city vision, how we actually observe and how we see the vision around smart city, as of today and till today, I think cities are very siloed oriented. They develop independent systems across their departments, and the technology is being developed very independently without an holistic approach. So we face a situation where we have multi-layer solutions which are not really connected to each other, which creates a very complex organization when it comes to developing a smart ecosystem. And the vision that we have for smart city is really to create an interconnected system which will optimize city services and the overall quality of life for the citizens. It's very important for us that the citizens are at the center of the approach in order to develop solutions which bring really added value and benefits for the cities. Then once you have this ecosystem interconnected, we will be able to address challenges regarding sustainability, quality of life, mobility. And there are, for smart city, 4 important messages to remember. First of all, we want the city to have a clear strategy, a clear vision, that they share the same smart city approach, or at least the willingness to develop smart solutions. The second point is that we really need to focus the solution that we are developing on the citizens. Bringing technology just for the sake of bringing technology would not bring any added value if we don't think about the citizens are the final user. The third point is we need to have a partnership model. Obviously, no private partner can come and pretend that they will develop an entire smart solution. We need partners who are working with each other. And the fourth point is to make this partner ecosystem work, we need the technology to be interoperable. We need platforms which are open, which will allow the interconnections of the different systems. Moving forward, what we see for the smart city field today in the market, we see 2 different approaches. One is a specific, a traditional smart city approach, which mostly is discussing directly with the cities or government authorities. Those projects are mostly retrofit projects, because obviously you don't want to redesign completely the city. You have to make sure that you are leveraging the existing infrastructure. And the initial focus for these cities are mostly, as I said before, working on mobility solutions. And it's not a coincidence that the first smart city initiative in the US is driven by the Department of Transportation. And this smart city challenge, which actually took place last year and won by the city of Columbus in Ohio, was mostly focusing on mobility solution, and most of the city made proposal around the concept of shared, connected, autonomous, and electric vehicle. On the other side, we see another approach, which is what we call here smart community. These projects are new construction projects or redevelopment projects in cities, so they are big eco-district or neighborhood. And for these projects, private technological partners are mostly working with private construction or developer company. The focus in this case is really to build a smart infrastructure, smart building, and then to create a community life, which will then leverage all the technology in this neighborhood. So these are two different verticals that we see in the field of the smart city. And for both smart city and smart community, later on in the presentation, we will show some example of some activity we have within Bosch. So I will now let Shailesh present some of the challenges and the solution to illustrate from a smart city concept what kind of solution we see today possible for the cities.
Thanks, Pierre. Some very good insights that you just went over on how to think about smart cities and communities. You know, as we look around the world, it seems to be in a constant flux and change, a very rapid pace, faster and faster every time we look. But with this change comes the promise of a much brighter future, but also significant challenges in realizing this future. Due to the significant trend of reurbanization that you mentioned earlier, some of the core domains that make up or support city life, such as the ones noted here, are all being strained in meeting the demands put on them. Let's take, for example, how buildings need to be better or more effectively utilized, existing buildings, or how new buildings need to be constructed for energy efficiency while still managing ever-increasing construction cost. These challenges for buildings can be met through connected building solutions. Sensors and sensing technology can be utilized to determine occupancy in a room and dynamically adjust temperature or lighting profiles, for example, in these connected buildings. How about looking at security? Security at mass events or after emergent events, for example. Video technology continues to advance at a very rapid pace. This allows for intelligent monitoring of crowd scenes or passive identification of public threats. Being able to leverage data from city infrastructure and this detail-rich video is significantly advancing emergency services and timely disaster response services from the different city stakeholders that have to provide these very important services. Let's take a look at e-governance topics. We realize that cities have deployed very targeted technology to collect data on specific infrastructure, for example, for many, many years now. Data collection, making certain assets smart is not a new thing, right? So creating that data is not a new thing, but all of this data seems to reside in silos. If we can take these silos that exist today and create, let's say, an interconnected data exchange, you can have a much richer city data set and dashboard that can be created. This dashboard can then be used to drive multiple other solutions which are utilized for not only city services and people from city government that have to respond to the citizens, but also different stakeholders, private companies, public companies that leverage this city data to create very effective new apps, very promising solutions that will help enhance quality of life for the citizen. Going forward, there's many solutions being developed across multiple city domains, as we see here, and a vast number of companies are doing this, both small companies, startups, to very established technology and service companies. Here we have some of the critical topics for cities and private developments which Bosch is focused on. One ubiquitous topic is heating and cooling efficiency of homes and buildings, for example. I think everyone is aware of the rapid adoption of smart thermostats. Smart thermostats can dynamically and effectively manage condition space temperatures. The next evolution in this is to connect the equipment, the heating and cooling equipment, which can then monitor equipment health, provide alerts to trigger any sort of preemptive maintenance topics and other such related topics. Who hasn't heard of the frustrating topic of parking, which Pierre just mentioned, right? So we've all had the experience of finding that elusive parking spot when heading into the downtown area for an event or a nice dinner, maybe Valentine's or the upcoming St. Patrick's Day topics coming up. And as Pierre mentioned, 30% of the traffic congestion within cities is driven by parking spot surges. So connected or smart parking solutions are being deployed to do everything from identifying open parking spots, potentially even reserving parking spots in advance for a period of time, to fully automated valet parking systems in parking garages. We believe that these types of solutions are not only needed, but will help to alleviate that congestion in cities, reducing frustration on drivers, but also positively impacting the environment by reducing carbon emissions and just traffic congestion. Lastly, let's talk a little bit about connected community apps. We observe many cities and communities are interested in having multifunction apps that provide valuable and consolidated city or community information at the touch of a button at the fingertips of the citizens, where so many people have smartphones today, right? So community apps that can inform a resident of, let's say, the actual status of the bus on the bus route, not just the schedule timing, as we have done in a community in San Francisco, or to provide geolocation triggered alerts as a citizen moves within different areas of the city. All of these types of services are not only being demanded by citizens, but that's what they are looking for to improve their quality of life as they go through their life and experience in the city. While these are all very valuable solutions that we see here, which we are working on and developing, we find that even greater benefits and efficiency could be attained when these can be combined or connected to address even more complex use cases or solutions. We've experienced this a bit firsthand, and I think, Pierre, you can jump into giving us some examples here.
Yeah, thank you, Shailesh. Yeah, definitely, there is a potential in leveraging the technology and developing solutions for the different domains that we discussed, mobility, building, security. But as you remember from the smart city overview, there is also benefit in interconnecting these different systems into a much more comprehensive cross-domain solution. And as an example, here, let's take lighting. So lighting, while the primary focus of lighting is just to make sure that during the dark, during the night, people can see. But if we interconnect this lighting component with camera or sensor which are able to detect events around the lighting, then we can look at the concept of smart lighting. And if someone is passing by the lighting, and then you can increase or decrease the lighting accordingly, then you make lighting also cost saving or energy saving solution. If a camera today, are intelligent camera, the Bosch intelligent camera are able to detect someone loitering around the car in front of ATM machine. If this event then interconnected to the lighting system, then we can use also lighting as a different technology, and then smart lighting is being used for security. Camera are also able to detect car accidents, for example. And if this camera detects a car accident, we are able to send the location of this car accident to the police or to the emergency vehicle. We drive immediately to the event. Having the camera interconnected to the lighting system, not only the street lighting, but the traffic lighting system, will then probably help this emergency vehicle to go to the event as fast as possible. So really the idea here is to develop intelligent new use cases by interconnecting all these different systems. The other example we have at the bottom of the slide is intermodality, and this is a solution that we are currently exploring in Stuttgart. having a platform which will then interconnect all the different transportation modes, whether they are public, private, cars, Uber, into one single platform, would then offer the end user with one single ticket to go from A to B without having to change system or payment mode and everything. Intermodality, as we remember from the previous discussion, would then also help to improve the overall mobility in the cities. So to make this cross-domain solution possible, I want to emphasize again two very important criteria. One, we need partners. We need partners who are able to bring together solutions into an integrated system. Based on the example which we gave here today, Bosch is doing camera, but we are not doing lighting, so we need to obviously partner with companies who are delivering different kind of solutions. And the second important point is, as I mentioned before, we need agnostic technology solution. We need open platform which will be enabling this interconnectivity. So that's the two really important points to mention when it comes to developing cross-domain solution. So moving forward now with practical case and of smart city initiatives that we had all around the world. As you can see, we have been working with different cities across the world on different solutions. So we worked in Monaco, and I will get a little bit more in detail on the Monaco project just right after. We worked in Stuttgart, in Singapore, mostly focusing on mobility, in Germany, focusing on energy. But what is important to really understand here is that every single city is unique. Every single city has different challenges depending on the number of people living there, depending on their position in the area, how they get the energy from the grid, how they are located from a geographical standpoint. Obviously, the city of San Francisco, with this end of the peninsula, the two bridges, will have more issues on mobility and so on. So each city is unique. That means for each city we need to develop dedicated projects and dedicated solutions. There is no off-the-shelf product that can just plug and play on cities, and that's a very important message that we want to address, because when we talk about success factor, the cooperation model between cities and the private partner is one of the key elements. I mentioned about the Monaco project, and I'd like to show you what we did in 2014 with the Principality of Monaco, and I would like to start first with a video.
Imagine that you could connect yourself with one gesture to an entire city. Imagine that with one touch, you could find the nearest available parking space. Visualize time schedules and the direction of the next bus, and discover what the city has implemented to ensure your mobility. Imagine that you could play a major role in community life by helping public authorities to act in real time to improve everyday life. Data integration, secured information sharing, creation of innovative services. With the Monaco 3.0 project, Bosch invites you to experience today the city of tomorrow. A city which would optimize its services in real time to offer a better comfort of life. A connected city built on social links and respectful of the environment. With Bosch, it's possible.
So what we see from this video, we started the cooperation with the Principality of Monaco in 2012. The idea was to work on the concept of a connected city, and working with all the different departments, there was the need to illustrate how technology could benefit the residents, the citizens, as well as the city departments. And that's how we developed this pilot solution around mobility that you have just seen on the video. The first part of the video shows smartphone app that we could call like intermodality app, where the citizens were able to get information regarding real-time bus arrival, real-time information regarding parking spots, information also about elevators across the Principality for pedestrians. So all this information was to show how interconnecting different systems into one single platform could also benefit to the citizens. You've seen also in the video that one of the citizens is reporting something happening in an elevator, and then the city can act on it. So it's also to show how citizens can be engaged in the smart city process, how we need to make sure that whatever we develop, they are also engaged in the philosophy, so they can report something, and then the city will say, okay, thank you very much, we will work on it. The second part of the video shows how putting sensors will collect data and information across the city will also help the city to do a smarter and better job. In this case, what we did, we implemented camera at the train station of Monaco, and this camera were able to do people counting as well as crowd detection. This was very valuable information for the city department to react in real time in case there is a crowd issue, like it was described in the video, or it was also some very important information that they could integrate when they were doing their urban infrastructure deployment. How many people are going through this train station, what kind of transportation we need to make, how we want to extend this train station to make sure that the people coming to Monaco will actually have a better mobility service. So that's what we did, and this was the experience that we had working with the city. What I'd like also to share with you is a project with a master development company. So what we have called here a smart community project. So we are working with this master development company called 5 Point. They are the largest master developer on the West Coast in the US, and they are completely redeveloping an entire neighborhood in the south of San Francisco. On the left side, it's called Candlestick Point. It's where the San Francisco 49ers were playing. The former stadium was there, now they play in Santa Clara. And on the right side, you have the San Francisco shipyard, which was previously a US Navy shipyard which was used during the World War II. Both communities all together are going to be developed, or are being developed as I speak, for the next 10-15 years. They will ultimately propose 12,000 homes, 5 million square feet of commercial building, up to 1 million square feet of retail, and altogether these communities are going to be built on 750 acres, which actually is larger than Monaco. But this project is a complete new development, and we are not only working on solutions for the residents, but we are also working on the solution regarding the infrastructure, regarding the building, how to make them smarter, how to optimize the energy, how to connect these two communities to the city from a mobility standpoint, how to address the topic of safety for the residents. All these different topics are currently being addressed right now with the 5 Point as a developer in a holistic approach, so that in the process of developing this community and with a traditional construction methodology, technology can be integrated in the process so that we develop a smarter community for the people who are living there, but also for all the different stakeholders and players in this community. looking at now what are the solutions that we are discussing, you see again some of the domains that we have been addressing in the past. And mobility, energy, building, communication, security are solutions which are currently being explored with 5 Point. 2 solutions are currently developed as I speak. One community app, which is being offered to the residents who are coming to the community, where they can find information regarding local transportation. They can receive notification about what's going on in the community, also some safety-related information. We also have a video surveillance system program which is being deployed. It's a non-gated community to still give the spirit of open space and really be integrated in the city. However, for the purpose of the safety of the residents, we have a rooftop camera on the building which are monitoring the area, and it's a video surveillance program that we are currently developing. What is important for us in this project, in this partnership where I am embedded in the organization, is really to look at the technology which can be developed today, but which can also be developed in 4 to 6 years from now. Because as builder, you need to understand that the design of the building that you will build in 5 years has to be decided now. So if you know that there is an upcoming technology which will influence the way you are developing your community, you better want to have the information now so that you can include this in your development. So if we take the example of parking, which is again a good example, and autonomous driving, in the future, autonomous valet parking where the car can park by itself in a built parking garage will be possible. And the mobility, the way people own cars, this mindset will also change. They probably will use ride sharing, Uber, and so on. So you probably don't need as much parking spots as you traditionally would need because of this technology. And that's why it's very important for builder and for developer to understand the technology which is coming along the road, so that they are developing a cost-effective and a very quality of life oriented community. So there are 2 key elements for us in this smart community project to be considered. The first one is we need to share a similar vision, a similar strategy with the developer. In this case with 5 Point, we really have a vision of developing this community on a unique way where technology is integrated, and obviously a cooperative model. From all the different project initiatives that you saw in the past, every project is unique, and to be cooperative and define all together the solution which can be specifically addressed for this community, we need a strong cooperative model for community but also for cities. So after these 2 examples, I will now let Shailesh give you some information about what we consider being the success factor for this project to be implemented.
Pierre, thanks. Those are some very valuable experiences we've had across multiple projects around the world in supporting different cities and how they want to get on the path towards smart and connected city life. But as you mentioned, from these projects, we have certainly learned a lot, and we can identify some success factors here. So first, I would like to say that it is very important that whether it's a city, a municipality-driven project or a private developer project, it is important that the partner or set of partners that are selected to work with the city on the project clearly understands and has experience with addressing the topic of smart solutions more holistically. They really must understand the life cycle basis of any project. For example, when we look at urban development projects or city infrastructure projects, it is important to know not only how but when technology can be introduced into the project life cycle. From early design to planning, infrastructure build-out to project construction, then finally commissioning and ongoing operation and maintenance. There are multiple opportunities to activate value through sensors, software, and services, but the selected partner needs to be experienced enough, have enough insights and thought process to know when that is most effective in introducing it in the project. So selecting a viable partner that understands this life cycle only accelerates project success. Second, Pierre, as you mentioned before, if the target is really to focus on citizens and enhance the quality of life, it is absolutely critical that a city or project developer has a very clear strategic vision on what they want to achieve when it comes to deploying a smart or connected solution. I want to be clear here, that does not necessarily mean that they have to understand all the potential solutions or what types of technologies may be out there that they should be deploying. It does mean that the team must be convinced and dedicated in their drive to deploy connectivity and citizen-centric solutions. If they understand this, if they're committed, because it will test their legacy processes, it will test how decisions are made, how budgets are approved, etc., as they go forward on this path of changing how a city becomes more dynamic. Third, we believe the chances for project success can greatly be enhanced when you have a technology partner integrated into the project as part of the working team, preferably and in best cases on site, working side by side with the municipal team or the project developer team. What this does, it creates an atmosphere of open collaboration, sharing of innovative thoughts and ideas, rapid learning by the entire team, and opportunities to incorporate any lessons learned along the way. Therefore, having this clear strategic vision and a reliable technology partner or advisor incorporated into the project as part of the execution team will help to keep the project on track and definitely on target when you look at timelines, budgets, quality deployments. All of that is important when you're trying to deliver on the topics of smarter cities and improving the quality of life for the citizen. And lastly, as we mentioned throughout this webinar, and we've stated earlier, we believe that in order to achieve some of the really key and best solutions out there, it's going to take an ecosystem of very talented partners, technology companies, both large and small, working together in their respective capacities and their competencies to develop and deploy these complex and comprehensive solutions. That is why at Bosch, we believe and are driving the approach of open core IoT architecture, where we're working with companies like GE, Cisco, ABB, Dell, and many others to make certain that open standards are developed and created, and they can be leveraged in the development of these connected solutions. As I mentioned early on, we want to make sure that the solutions Bosch develops can also connect to the things that are being deployed and topics being addressed by potentially other partners within the city. Cities are dynamic, they're diverse, they're large. Not any one company can really cover an end-to-end solution, to be frank. It's going to take an ecosystem working together to make the best outcomes. And in the end, a smart city or community can only be realized when the citizen or resident has a seamless, easy-to-use experience. As we've stated before, it's about the citizen and how we can improve their quality of life. Well, with that said, there are many other valuable resources on how to get started in any smart city or community project and to get people on their journey. We certainly have resources at Bosch on our website and different YouTube videos, but also from many other independent organizations and government entities. There's a lot of great resources out there. If you don't know where to start, the DOT also has some great resources that were developed through the Smart City Challenge, which can be leveraged. And with that, Pierre and I would like to thank the audience for their time and attention, and we're happy to take some questions at this point.
Okay, hi everybody. This is Mary from Green Builder Media, and I apologize again for all the audio difficulties we had today. I have a couple of questions to put forward. The first question is from Robert, and Robert says, we use a security camera at our weekend home that is connected to the internet via our Verizon router. It works well, however, we have found that about every 10 days we lose connection because the router needs to be reset. Is there a way to make a reset automatic?
Well, that specific topic, I think, is has to be looked at as far as the technology or the vendor providing the camera as well as the router settings, making sure that you have clear connection, probably reaching out to all corners of the home and making sure wherever the camera is placed. Those are some probably general statements that you can look into. But again, this is the other topic of as different vendors put out different products, it's important that these standards are adhered to in order for these technologies to interoperate together. I don't have a specific answer for that because I don't know the specific brands or technologies, but in general what we find, just looking at my own home connections and smart home, typically it's a topic of bandwidth and or Wi-Fi range from the router that might need to be looked at.
Okay, and further on down his question, he opines that these kinds of connectivity issues are going to be a hindrance to building the connected city. So is that something that is part of the process to get smart cities?
Absolutely. It's going to take all the key players in the ecosystem, whether you're making connectivity devices, gateways, the sensors, the end products, whether they're cameras, whatever it may be that is required in the development of the solution. It's important and imperative that these standards are developed in a way that they can be leveraged by any company, large or small, and that they also promote a very strong baseline level of quality in the technology that's being used. So whether you're using Zigbee or Z-Wave technologies or Wi-Fi or any of the other communication protocols out there, it shouldn't matter which one is being used, and it should work seamlessly. I think there is still some path to go, some road to tread in making sure this comes to fruition in the marketplace, and it will be a bit of trial and error, but I'm absolutely certain as the demands put on cities continue to increase and these solutions are not only a nice to have but a requirement, the technology will not only meet but exceed the requirements that are needed.
Okay, thank you. And Mike Calignan, our moderator, who has also sent this follow-up to that, he says that he once read a quote that stuck with him. It goes like this: "It's not enough to be right, we should work to understand the effect of being right." So along those lines, what effect do you see on secondary and tertiary industries such as insurance or telecommunications?
Well, what we're observing is the pace of new business model development is extremely rapid. If you look at the mobility space or several other topics, if we look at Airbnb, for example, their business model that they've developed and deployed, it's the largest global renter of rooms today without actually owning the assets, right? Same for companies like Lyft and Uber and other ride-sharing models where, they're providing a service, leveraging an asset used by or owned by other entities, but they're able to leverage that. And so the secondary opportunities or effects, some might be within our sites, others will develop over time based on the data sets being created, somebody coming up with an innovative idea of how to leverage that data set. But I also strongly believe that the opportunities are endless in this, and it will be driven by the end user, the citizen, you and I wanting more effective solutions out there, easier to use, simpler to operate. We all know that the connected world puts more and more demands also on us as individuals. And the simpler we can keep it, the higher the adoption will be across any domain, across any solution created.
And Shailesh, maybe to complement that and to also complement on the question which was asked regarding other players, if we take the example of insurance, today we see some new business models thanks to all this connectivity where people, they pay the insurance as they drive, because now we have all the information about the car, when they are driving, where they are driving, what kind of driving behavior they have, And with all this information, assuming that as a driver you provide all this information through your card to the insurance company, it gives an additional safety for the insurance company to reward the good driver and then make sure that the bad driver are paying for. And then insurance become a very important key partner in the development of this new business model. So yes, definitely insurance company, telecom company will be part of this new technology along the road.
Okay, thank you. And here's a question. What are the current barriers when initiating a smart city or smart community project?
Yeah, so I can answer this question based on the experience I had with Monaco, with Nice, and now with the project we have in San Francisco. So I see today 5 main barriers. The first one is a technological barrier. I mean, we saw obviously from the presentation that technology is there. There are so much potential in connecting devices, in leveraging this data, monetizing it, creating smart solutions. However, the fact that now we can generate so much data can be also a little bit scary. And with this huge amount of data, there are 2 concerns which are now still open question, and how technology will solve that. Maybe it's not technology, it's the data security, how we make sure that the data that we are generating is secure, and that the data privacy, where does the data belongs, and how we make sure that this data is still private. So that's questions which are still under discussion, because obviously owning the data and monetizing it is one of the challenges that everybody wants to overcome. The second barrier that we see, and probably the biggest one, is the financial barrier, especially with cities. Finding the budget to develop this smart city solution is obviously a challenge. It's a new line in your budget as a city to say, well, now I want to develop a smart system. And the private companies, they obviously want to develop pilot case, but they are not also going to develop these pilots at their own expense. So it's very important to find the appropriate business model and the added value for the citizens. In that regard, solutions like parking, which create additional revenue, or smart lighting, which help to do some energy savings, would be probably easier to deploy for cities because the business model is pretty clear. More complex solutions like intelligent transportation system, that's very important to know how this model can be financed. The third barrier I see is a legal barrier, especially again when we develop smart city projects with cities. If we consider that most of the solutions that we see today are innovative solutions, that means it requires some pre-investment from the private partner, and then the second step is for the city to procure the solution, which required a public tender process. It does not really foster innovation. It does not really foster a partnership between cities and private partners. So this public tender process, which is fair, is sometimes also not fully fostering the idea of developing innovation for smart cities. And the fourth barrier I see is a political barrier. Obviously, there is some different priorities when we look at quality of life citizens and their own personal election interests. So the political influence is also a very important one and can change the vision that the city have from one party to the other. And the last but not the least is the model, the cooperation model, the model to develop the smart solution. We talked about it during the presentation today. It's very important to jointly develop solutions with the cities, with the developer, with the builder, but it's very important also to make sure that the residents and the citizens are.
Okay, I don't see any other questions, so I want to thank Shailesh and Pierre for sharing their time and knowledge with us today. Thanks also to all you in attendance and for asking such great questions. Please stay tuned to Green Builder Media for information on our next webinar, and have a wonderful afternoon.